I always tell people, if you want to say no to me, say no for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
Say we don't have $1 billion in AUM. Say, you don't like me.
Right.
But don't say I'm not a bad mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And don't say I haven't invested in 38 cities, 12 states, 7 different asset classes in 2 countries and exited successfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're putting in the work, man. We love it. Ari, thanks for coming, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're really excited. Kind of look up to you in a lot of ways on stuff that you're doing.
Thank you.
I know you said you grew up here. We did as well. This is called the Real Estate Podcast, but we like to jump into anything, and so
yeah, let's keep it organic and whatever we think that can add some value to our listeners, because core value for us is always creating value, identifying opportunity and creating value. So whatever that is, whether that's a building, whether that's a podcast, or whether that's cooking a good meal, if we're not adding value, then it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, it's a lifestyle that real estate allows, and try to have fun with everything.
Absolutely.
Would love to hear about your background, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about me. It's not that interesting. Look, my parents,
doubt it.
Well, look, there's my book comes out in April called The Gift of Failure, and talks about nothing of the success we've had. I'm a normal guy, man. Like, I don't wear watches or drive Ferraris or any of that stuff. This is all for my kids. And Andy Warhol said that business is the most fascinating form of art, and this is my art. I sketch the buildings that we do, we conceptualize them, and it's always this just obsession with kind of our end user. And after I was on Wall Street for many years, working for the biggest names in the world that, ironically enough, are now our investors. Our investors are public pension funds, family offices. As you probably know, we're raising $1 billion this year to go after this particular strategy. But I started all from nothing, man. My parents divorced when I was young, and I had a sob story about that for many years. But now I realized that life was not happening to me; it was happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brought me a lot of great blessings, a lot of great resilience. But dude, I flipped burgers at Johnny Rockets through high school, delivered pizzas through college, and I didn't get into Texas A&M directly. I had to go to Richland Community College and then Blinn, and then I graduated top of my class finally. Who would have figured an English major would go to Texas A&M? But my dad, wouldn't let me go to UT, because he thought I would have too much fun. He was probably right. And so I always knew I was going to be in real estate. When I was a kid, I was enamored by big buildings, and it was my grandfather's dream. They killed our whole family in Iran because we weren't the right religion. Wow. So they had to start from scratch. And my dad found out that, his girlfriend at the time was pregnant right around the time this stuff was happening. And, went from having everything. My grandfather was very close to the Shah of Iran. He's one of the first psychiatrists ever in Iran. 7-time gold medalist in track and field, writer, spoke multiple languages, taught at the university. I'm just a big, beautiful man, and he literally died in my arms. And, so for me, it was about finding a better way. I'm not a money worshiper. I believe in creating value. And, the old saying is bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. And that's our thesis. And being a native Austinite, I'm very sensitive to gentrification, and I really hate that word in a lot of ways. Look, people could probably point the finger at me and say I'm doing some of that stuff by owning over 500 acres in the city, and I have no money at the corporate level. I own 100% of this company. Our investors are in different deals and one-off stuff and highly institutional shop, as you know. But, to me, it's about community enhancement. And so what we're doing down in Kyle, which will be public pretty soon, we aggregated 320 acres. We're pioneering a concept that we're calling futuristic suburbanism. And it's really this post-COVID world and what that's going to mean. So the office building we're building at East 8th and I-35 is a 2-story walk-up building. The windows open, has staircases on the outside, larger elevators, touchless entry, the most innovative UV HEPA filters that viruses and bacterias, effectively within a matter of seconds in some instances can't live in it. But it's really creating what the future is going to be and being on the bleeding edge of that at a technology level. Because at my core, for those of you that listen to J. Cole, I'm a big, hip hop enthusiast. I was kind of raised by Nas and raised by Jay-Z and, amongst all the other greats and Sinatra and, we're music heads in my family. Agnostic, we love all the greats. But this is about, understanding the world has changed and doing things that are going to serve the end user and take that Amazonian approach of being obsessed with your end user, which has always been our core value. And, it's not to be in the fee business. I tell people all the time, I'm not in the fee business, I'm in the performance business, and we've taken a different approach. And obviously built a great business, but I'd be remiss to tell you that a lot of it wasn't luck. I knew we bought some great real estate in a city that I believe in, that I live in, that I love as a consumer. Like, we have more public parks than any top 10 city in the United States. Most people don't know that. We have great live music. We have all the reasons, people want to be in this city. But I was a little disenfranchised with Wall Street, and being the father of 3 beautiful children and having a wonderful wife that also works in the company, and having one of my best friends of 20 years work with us, and my little brother also here working with us, my sister-in-law is an executive in the company, and but I started this with a $3,000 loan when I was in law school, bro. Got into St. Mary's in San Antonio, and was on the build side every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, pouring concrete, tying rebar, late to class in work boots, and used all my scholarship money and every dollar that I had to get it started, partnered with a local developer that we're still dear friends to this day. And 2008 happened. I thought I was going to be a multimillionaire. He came to me and said, look, I'll take on all the debt. I'll own the stuff. I'll give you your money back, plus your investor money back. You'll have perfect credit, and you're a young man.
Start over.
Get to work.
Yeah.
And we remained very, very dear friends, and obviously, and he's been a huge supporter, and the rest was history. My wrestling coach, his cousin, Italian cousin, quote unquote,
right,
was the head of all conduit lending of Credit Suisse at the time. Did over $450 billion in lending. He's been ranked number 1 in the world of commercial real estate financiers. I've known him since I was a kid. Got to re-know him about 12, 13 years ago. And he gave me a shot. Moved me to New York City, gave me an apartment, and put me in the room with the greatest minds of this business, and jump-started my career 20 years. And I got a little disenfranchised with the way I saw Wall Street run, but I learned the great parts, picked the great people, stuck to them. They stuck with me. And I'd like to believe we built a better way. And people throw around that word conscious capitalism, and it's almost become a cliche, but we're conscious capitalists. We want to do great work. I want to believe in my city, and I don't price Austinites out of things. I don't need to squeeze every penny out of every deal. We have a 9-figure balance sheet that's wholly owned, and you can criticize me as being a 38-year-old CEO, but you can't say I don't have time to be patient.
What do you mean? What is when people say that? They're just saying that you don't have the experience?
Maybe, yeah. And then, it's, look, and I don't blame them. I get it. But that's why we have one of the top 5 auditors in the world and 5 years of audited financials and third-party fund administrators and risk controls and investment committees. And that's the lawyer in me talking. To where if you really want to peel the envelope, I always tell people, if you want to say no to me, say no for the right reason. Say we don't have $1 billion in AUM. Say, you don't like me. But don't say I'm not a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And don't say I haven't invested in 38 cities, 12 states, 7 different asset classes in 2 countries and exited successfully.
Yeah, you're putting in the work, man. We love it. We we look up to you in a lot of ways. Our business, we grew up together. Andrew and I grew up together.
I love it. That's my fam, bro. We keep it in the family, and nowadays your circle's got to be smaller than ever, man.
Yeah.
And it's good to keep it in the family. And we always kind of joke is that, look, I'm not the smartest guy, bro, by any stretch of the imagination, but the people that work for me are.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was it like for you? You've obviously hit a good level of success. When you were kind of pushing through, grinding on in the early days.
You mean every day?
Still now, right?
More than ever.
Yeah, same here. And
more money, more problems, brother.
You can't stop. Like, even when you get the success, you can't stop. You got to keep pushing.
You know what Jay-Z said? Jay-Z said, you don't want to think of success? It sucks. Too much stress. What do I got? I got just these fancy cars. I don't even bring half them shits out. I got an apartment at the Trump I only slept in once.
Let's go, baby. Keep going.
Let's go. But the point is, like, for me, it's being in love with the process. I don't do this for the money, man. Like, it's not money is an effect of creating value. And Jack Welch, and forgive the English major in me and the quotes, and because I'm a voracious reader, anybody knows that about me knows that I'm a health freak, and I'm a big reader. My parents are both big readers, but Jack Welch talks about how when you create a product that you would buy and at that price and be happy. And not just happy, be ecstatic. And if you can't say in good conscience with personal integrity that you would buy that product, or that's a good product at that price point, you shouldn't be selling it. Mm-hmm. And that creed is something that is in the DNA of what our firm is creating something that, my wife, who, goes through a lot of the creative direction of the apartments, how we design them. And, it wasn't very long ago that, we lived in an apartment. Mm-hmm. And so our standard was, would we have this as an Airbnb? Would this be suitable for our family? Like, we're blessed to, have our home and have the things that we have, but her family grew up on dirt floors. I mean, like, my little brother is sitting right here, like, we didn't have nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had more than most, and I don't want to, give a sob story because a lot of people are suffering right now. But I didn't have a silver spoon, but I had a great father, great mom, that gave me the gift of reading, which is one of the greatest gifts that was ever given to me, because I found all my mentors in those books. And truly, imagination and belief and conviction are more important than knowledge, because if you have a why and you have a what, how is none of your business. Right. But you have to know where you're going. And I was really lucky that my 10-year plan in Austin became a 6-month plan. But
can you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, when I bought the 50 acres next to Tesla, which I didn't know Tesla was coming. I didn't know Chanel.
You just knew it was good real estate.
Well, our data analytics pointed to the I-30 corridor being the logistical background from Georgetown to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And I knew on a beta trade that area was going to grow. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know when or how. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't, but I just, you're only as good as the data and the information you have, right? And so I bought it for a pretty good price. Yeah. Now in hindsight, but I thought it would be my 1-year-old daughter's problem. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, we're breaking ground on 525,000 square feet of industrial the next 7 months.
Nice.
And we have, I don't know, maybe 100 tenants that have already reached out to take it, including names that big ones,
that's awesome.
Big leases. And so it's created a lot more work, but, work is what I do. Sure. I'm not the smart guy. Like, I'm a worker, and my wife yells at me sometimes. She'll show up to the build side and I'm putting up sheetrock, and she's like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?" Mm-hmm. I'm working. Like, she's like, mm-hmm. No, like, no. Or I'll get in a meeting or get in the minutia or something, because it wasn't long ago that I was writing the legal documents, and I was raising the capital, and I was doing the acquisitions, and It's a one-man team.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
What was it like when you heard about Tesla? Having that land and you hear the news. Did you hear about it just on an article, or did you kind of?
I knew it was going to happen.
Okay, cool.
And but seeing the headline was incredible, and I have a lot of respect for Elon. We need people that, I don't know if he should be running a public company. That's another discussion. But I love that man because he believes in something. He has conviction, and he's trying to move humanity forward. And he has all my prayers and all my love because we need people like that.
Totally agree.
Just for whatever reason. I don't own a Tesla. I kind of think the cars are ugly personally. But he has all my love and he has my prayers, and I hope he succeeds at the highest level imaginable, just simply because of the man that he is.
Yeah, he's a good guy to be pushing forward for humanity.
He's fighting for something bigger than him, and that's what you need. And humility, as I've talked about before, is not really thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking less of yourself. Mm-hmm. Thinking less about yourself, thinking less about me.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't think I'm a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
But when I go do something and do a project, or I have investors or bankers or tenants, I'm not thinking about, like, you don't hear in my firm how much money we're going to make. We're thinking about, how do we preserve capital? Mm-hmm. How do we be safe? What's the downside? How do we protect the people? How do we create something that, if new construction is across the street, how can we deliver the same Class A experience in a post-COVID environment with inherent social distancing, buying these old vintage apartments at a discount to replacement cost, but deliver a Class A interior amenity for a fraction, or at least 20 to 30%, in some instances 40% less than new construction. Mm-hmm. So I live by the $5 Uber ride. If it's within $5 Uber ride of where the locations are,
it's a good location.
It's on it's something to look at. I have a 70-point proprietary due diligence checklist that I created over the last 12 years.
That's awesome.
And, with a lot of help from a lot of people a lot smarter than me. Mm-hmm. And, as dumb as that sounds, that's one of the things that we look at. And, because people are still scared, as they should be, and people underestimate the trauma that this pandemic has caused. The vaccines are going to help quell some of it, but it's going to take many, many years before people feel safe again being in these areas. So the outer suburban cores, and we're seeing it throughout the Sun Belt, we're seeing it even in areas like Beverly Hills and Hollywood and San Diego, the urban cores are suffering temporarily. It'll all come back. Office is suffering temporarily. People are going back to the office. Productivity has plummeted. We're tribal beings. We work better together in person. The body language, the synergies, breaking bread together, whiteboarding. That's when things happen that are greater than the sum of their parts. And this is just natural law. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I love it, man. Yeah, I'm learning as we go.
What is it about development specifically that attracted you in real estate?
Well, development is art, in one regard, and we're at an inflection point of Gen Z and millennials. I'm actually the oldest millennial, so I'm the API plugin. I can talk to the old guys, and I'm the big brother to the little guys. And so for me, it's about, I'll give you an example when, I'm older than you guys, but, remember when there was the dining room, the living room, right? That was a typical house layout. Sure. Well, now everybody eats in the kitchen. Dining room's a fake ass room. Mm-hmm. So thinking about how culture has changed us and how technology is being used and how we use our phones, or maybe not necessarily on the TVs, we're watching on our iPads and we're taking bits of information. We're on the bleeding edge of what that next iteration will be of development, of how people work, how safety plays, and what are the real mechanisms that need in place, because the old rules don't apply anymore. They're dead. And they can keep trying to fit the circle into the square peg and be merchant builders and whatever. But I'm a long-term holder. I'm patient capital. And for me, like I said, I'm on a mission to be a part of creating what the future of development and lifestyle will be factory in safety, health, wellness, suburban communities, livability, and also things that are beautiful, but be focused on workforce housing. That, so much of this American dream that our grandparents and parents lived up, but their greatest investment are their homes, and that's dying. And I think there's an invigoration there that can be happened in some of these Sunbelt tech cities and the suburban corridors that we want to reinvigorate. But a lot of the folks, and there's a lot of obviously amazing developers, amazing people, and I don't compete with anybody but myself, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm running my race, and I'm no saint. I ain't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, all I've done is fail forward, to use the words of John Maxwell, who I love very much. But we believe that we've cracked the code, and we believe we know what Gen Z and what young millennials are going to want and what they're going to need. Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong, but we're experimenting and we're testing the waters. We're building the office building on East 8th. It's only 2 stories. It's a 2-story building, unbelievable location, hard corner of East 8th and 35. Yep. 78 million people a year drive by it. Staircases on the outside, windows that open, HEPA filters, touchless, and we're using these as case studies to understand how did that impact the tenant. Was it what they needed? Did it work? And constantly evolving and changing, because the world has changed forever, whether people want to admit it or not. We will never go. There's a new status quo.
Yeah,
it'll never go back to what it was. I believe it'll be better. I believe that we'll innovate. The greatest innovations that ever have happened in the last 100 years came out of World War II. So if you put put aside the destruction and tragedy and disgusting, horrors of what that brought, what it did is it brought the world together to innovate. And we still use some of those innovations today. This is the fastest vaccine that's ever come out. I'm not necessarily against vaccines or pro-vaccines, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an American, right? And quite frankly, I don't agree with anybody on everything, right?
Sure.
It's like, but that doesn't mean I don't respect you,
right?
And I think we've come to a place in this country where if we disagree, that means we hate each other. What happened to a dialectic? What happened to respecting another man's opinion or woman's opinion? You can talk and voice that. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that. And
it's really sad. I feel like it's
divisive.
We should be able to think completely opposite, but still talk.
But that's how you get great answers. So if you look at the status, putting people around you that disagree in an intelligent, respectful manner is when you find the right answer.
Right.
You need people around you that are going to come from different vantage points, whether it's your analyst or your property manager, or just using, whatever. We might look at something on paper and it works, and the contractor walks in and says, I get you what you wrote on paper, but lumber is at $7, or, I'm just using an example. It's like,
right.
But you have to surround yourself with quote unquote disagreement with love and open-mindedness around believable people to come up with the right answer. And one of my bigger failures early in my career was it was all about me, and I wanted to be right.
Yeah.
And being a father now and being a husband and having, a lot of employees and people that rely on us, their families and investors, and you look at things differently. I want the right answer. I don't need to be right. And
so it's probably, would you guys agree, if you have a problem, if you think completely different than me and I get upset about it, that's my ego, right? Because I want to be right, and I'm not keeping an open mind to hearing you out.
I wouldn't jump in the middle of that question entirely, but I would like to believe, if I put it on myself, that if you said something that I disagreed with and I got upset about it, I would blame that on me.
Right. Yeah.
Because if
I should be able to say anything and not.
If you respect the person.
Right.
Like if you're coming, but it depends on your intention. Like if we're sitting here together as men that respect each other, or women that, are in a room talking and whatever, we should be able to talk about Biden or Trump or these polarizing issues. And that's what our country is built on. It's built on freedom of speech. And just because you want to go to, whatever, wear Wranglers and I want to wear Levi's, that doesn't mean I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's asinine to think that. Like, okay, you like Wranglers, I like Levi's. We're still boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, you like Denali, you like trucks, I like Ferrari. I mean, I was like, what does that have to do? And it's become so personalized and it's become so embedded, which is a systemic problem. And it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Like, it just, because the beauty of this country is to be able to speak your mind. And when we saw these protests happen and these social injustice, kind of issues, peaceful protest is the essence of a great country. People being able to speak their mind and talk. It's a fine line if you're looting and doing criminal activity or doing other things, and okay, but protesting is what makes us America. We're a land of immigrants. We're like, our language is called English.
Mm-hmm.
Not American.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from England. Like, meaning people call it the melting pot. It's not a melting pot. It's a quilt.
Mm.
They all sit on top of each other. Mm. It didn't melt into something new. We have different cultures. You have little Korea, you have little Chinatown, you have these different little sects and that are together that makes something so beautiful, but it's more of a quilt than it is a melting pot.
I agree.
And my hope is that, look, as an attorney, just like doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, I respect my president and I love my president. Do I agree with everything that he says? No. I also don't agree with everything my wife says. Doesn't mean I don't love her.
Right.
I don't agree with everything my 5-year-old says, but I love him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has my prayers, and I just there's a lot of healing that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And we need to all play our part in what that is. And for me, as an artist and as a developer and as a community enhancer, that's my focus. And starting with a city that I love, one of our big developments that's going up on South First that we're breaking ground this year on, one of our investors is the largest public pension fund in the world, or one of them, is on a little, it's actually an assemblage of several lots that we put together. I used to go there when I was 5 years old with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what the city needs, what we're building. We could have built something bigger and asked for this and that and go through rezoning, and then we just want to do what's right. Does that make us saints? No, but I want to be here for a long time, and I want to make sure that my work is meaningful, and I want to contribute, and it has nothing to do with me, man. This is just who I am, good, bad, or indifferent, and I hope that we're doing good work.
Yeah, man, that's inspiring, and it's cool to hear that from you. You're doing big things, and to have that type of mindset behind you. What do you do as far as like building the people around you and your team? Like, what do you look for? Who do you let in the door? How do you go about growing and building?
Yeah,
that?
So we have a very robust program that does IQ tests, personality tests, and a whole variety of things that we make sure that we're assembling the right teams, and we use technology to do that. But that's one piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
That is the human element, because a lot of things a spreadsheet can't tell you. Same with real estate. Sometimes you walk the property and you see something and say, hell no, even though the numbers looked right. You've both seen deals like that before. Same with people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about finding collective synergy and teamwork, culture.
Yep.
Culture is what's most important to me. I've had to let go of people that were top performers that didn't fit with the culture.
Right.
And so to me, culture is most important. I'm legally violently protective of my employees and my family and the culture that we have, because everybody that's with us at Rastegar is there because they want to be.
Yeah, man. And the reason I ask is I haven't really put a system in place, but we're always trying to grow and get the right people.
Yeah, there's a lot of great systems out there that you can use, but I would highly recommend personality tests, which people don't look to, because you might have one great person here on paper that's a great analyst, and if you look at the personality test of another person, you might want them on the same team, but if they don't calibrate together culturally, you're not going to get the productivity you need. And then looking at the IQ, looking at their intelligence. But a question that I've asked from the beginning, and I thought it was kind of ironic, Elon said this the other day, but we've been doing it from day one, is I want to know what your failures are, and I want to know what the hardest problem you solved is.
I like it.
Tell me what you solved.
Yeah, we've been...
You did.
What's
meaning,
right.
What did you solve? And what did you fuck up?
What's been important? Yeah, what are your failures?
I want to know what you fucked up. Mm-hmm. And I want to know what you did about it. Mm-hmm. I want to hear about you got kicked in the teeth. I've already read your resume because, Elon says that I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me do.
Sure.
So I know you're smart, or else you wouldn't be sitting with me. Mm-hmm. I get that. You wouldn't have made it to the 4th interview. I get that, but I want to know: are you a self-starter? We don't hire smart people, as Steve Jobs said, to tell them what to do. We hire smart people for them to tell us what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah, my thing is, I think there's a lot of things we can implement, but it's always been that feel like, I like this person. I feel like we can mesh well. Let's get to work. And
that's powerful, and that can also be blinding.
Sure, I agree with you.
So it's trust and verify, and I made that mistake a lot of people that I really liked, but kind of ignored the data. Mm-hmm. So you have to use your own discernment to marry the data, but don't ever doubt your gut. Like I'm saying, that's an element of it.
Right.
You shouldn't make things just based on your gut. Like meaning, I want to buy this property. I have a good gut feeling about it. Like, and then not run the numbers. It's ridiculous.
Right.
But if you ran the numbers and then you have a bad feeling, okay, well then, and so you need to know how to gauge those things. But and I don't like to give advice because, the older I get, the more I know that I got more to learn, man.
Yeah.
And opinions are like, what's, we all got them. But all I can just tell you from my vantage point is culture is very underrated.
Right.
Have
you heard of the rapper Kanon?
Of course.
Yeah, he said, any man who knows a thing knows not a damn thing at all. It made me think of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, who said a lot of the same stuff. And I'm J. Cole middle child. Stuck in the middle of two generations, little bro and big bro all at once.
Yeah.
We have a lot of entertainers that invest with us that are my dear friends, and all their names.
Sure.
And they're big supporters of what we do, and this doctors and a lot of these folks, they didn't have time to learn financial literacy. They're brilliant, they're smart, they're geniuses in their craft. But, we all need help in something, right?
Absolutely.
And so being able to share those jewels, and most important thing is personal integrity, because to me, and my life coach, Lauren Zander, is one of the biggest life coaches in the world, probably behind Tony Robbins. And I'm a big Tony Robbins guy too, do all his seminars, and student of self-help, Jim Rohn, Dale Carnegie, you name it. Talks about personal integrity, and personal integrity is keeping the promises that you make to yourself. And that's where my focus always is. If I make a promise to you and I don't show up, there's deliberate consequences. But if I make a promise to myself that I don't keep, there's no one there to keep me accountable.
Right. The
promises that I make to myself are more important than the ones that I make to anybody else. Mm-hmm. And my promise to myself every day is that I'm going to play full out.
Maybe hanging sheetrock today.
No job is too small for me. When I delivered pizzas, I was the best goddamn pizza delivery boy the world had ever seen.
Nice, man.
At least in my opinion.
Hey, man, I have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn. I delivered pizzas. I started selling real estate. So we really respect your opinion and the footsteps that you've taken. I think it's inspiring. And I'm trying to soak it all in, as you're saying, everything. I mean, it's very valuable stuff, and appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's hopefully we got some stuff that people will take some value from, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
My book comes out, like I told you, in April. Our podcast is launching around the same time, and maybe we flip the tables next time and
that'd be cool.
Ask y'all some questions.
That'd be great. What's the name of your book, real quick?
It's called The Gift of Failure.
The Gift of Failure. And where can people get it? Is it coming out anywhere special?
It'll be everywhere.
All right.
What are ways that we, our listeners, can add value for you, real value? Is there anything that you can think of that we can be doing to help you?
I think pay it forward. If there's anything that you heard here that resonated with you, share it with people. Mm-hmm. just share it with people.
Sure.
and live it and act it.
Yep.
Karma's real. There's, I've been blessed in this world to have the things that I have and have the responsibility to do the things that I've done, and been very blessed to do what I was born to do, which I think a lot of people haven't got that gift. And my only ask would be is if anything you heard here today resonated with you viscerally and touched you, the chances are that there's someone that you could tell that it might touch them. So just let them know.
Make the impact, spread the message.
Just spread the message to them. And I don't need any credit for it. Don't tell them Ari Rastegar said that on a podcast. Just go tell them in your words.
Sure.
Tell them what it meant to you. Tell them your experiences. Karma will catch up with me.
Yeah, man. I love it. Well, Ari, appreciate your time, man. It means a lot.
Pleasure.
Big things in the future. We'll support any way we can. And thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.